All right, let's talk about telling true stories. Those moments from your life that you really want to share, but you're afraid they'll just sound like a school report. Super dry, kind of boring. Well, today we're going to figure out how to ditch that style and write true stories that are just as gripping as any great novel.
Okay, so the first step, it's a big one. I want you to think about all those rules you learned about formal writing, all the stuff you got graded on. Got it? Now, just please, throw all of that out the window. Seriously.
And what is all that? I'm talking about that super rigid 5-paragraph essay you were forced to write in school. You know the drill, right? Intro, 3 points, conclusion. Look, it has its place, for sure. But when it comes to telling a real story, it can absolutely suck the life out of it.
So, it's time to learn a whole different way to do this, a more creative way. We're going to dive into what's called creative nonfiction. And the goal here isn't just to report what happened. No, it's to make your reader feel like they were right there with you, experiencing it all.
Okay, so let's get into it, moving beyond that old 5-paragraph essay. I think the best way to understand what this kind of writing is to start with what it's not. So, check this out. Your classic academic essay, it starts with a thesis, right? A main point, and then it just builds this logical case. But creative nonfiction, it just throws you right into the middle of things. It doesn't follow a neat little outline, it follows an emotional path. And the ending, it's not a summary, it's a feeling, something that just sticks with you.
Now hold on. Just because we're tearing up the old rule book doesn't mean it's total chaos. Think of it like cooking. You might not follow a super strict recipe down to the gram, but you still need the basic ingredients, right? The stuff that makes the whole thing work.
And for creative nonfiction, these are the 5 must-haves. We're going to look at each one. How to find your voice, how to add those rich details, how to build emotion, and maybe most important, how to find the real meaning in your story. Let's do it.
All right, first up in this one is so important. It's all about finding your unique voice. So, what do we even mean by voice? A lot of people think it just means being chatty or informal, but it's so much more than that. Your voice is your fingerprint on the world. It's how you see things. It's your personality, your humor, your doubts, all of that coming through in the writing.
And here's a really key idea to wrap your head around. Your story is always about you. Always. Even if you're writing about, say, the victims of 9/11, it's really about how you feel about them. Writing about Frank Sinatra, it's about your love for him, or maybe your dislike. You are the narrator, you're the lens, and that's what makes the story interesting.
Okay, ingredient number 2. How do we make your story feel, well, cinematic? How do we get the reader to stop reading words on a page and start seeing a movie in their head?
This right here is the classic show, don't tell. I mean, look at this. You can say, we were in Italy. We had pasta. Okay, fact. Or you can pull the reader in. The sound of kitchen doors swinging, the sight of men in aprons rushing around with steaming plates, the voices chanting carpaccio, carbonara. See the difference? One is a report, the other is an experience. That's what we're going for. And the way you deliver that experience is with scenes. But listen, a scene isn't just describing a place. It's a specific moment in time where everything changes. It's an emotional turning point. You don't need to build a whole scene for every little thing that happens. You save them for the big moments, the moments that really matter.
All right, we're moving on to what might be the most important ingredient of all. This is the one that turns a simple memory into a story that actually connects with people. This is the heart of it all.
You have to be absolutely brutal with yourself and ask this question over and over. So what? Okay, you went to Italy. So what? Your car broke down. So what? Why does this matter? Why are you telling me this? And more importantly, why should I, the reader, care?
The so what? That's the deeper meaning. It's the universal truth that's hiding inside your very specific personal story. It's the bridge between your experience and something everyone can feel. It's what makes your story about your grandmother not just about your grandmother, but about love or loss or family.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Everyone's grandmother dies. It's a universal experience. So the story isn't the event itself. The story is what you can deliver through that event. What's the bigger thing you learned? What's the more important truth you can share? That's your so what.
Okay, last big piece of the puzzle, structure. We've got our voice, our scenes, our meaning. Now, how do we put it all together?
How do you grab your reader from the very first word and leave them with something powerful at the end?
First off, forget the boring intro. Just get rid of it. You can start in media res. That's just a fancy way of saying in the middle of the action. Just drop the reader right in. Or you can open with a really strong image. I mean, just imagine this opening line. You're reading about a barefoot man in a loincloth in the middle of a New York winter. Tell me you're not going to keep reading.
And when it comes to the ending, please resist the temptation to tie it all up in a neat little bow. You know, that last paragraph that basically says, and the moral of the story is, don't do it. If you've done your job, the reader already feels the meaning. You have to trust them.
So instead of that, try one of these techniques. You could return to that opening image, but now it means something totally different. Or just land on one killer line of dialogue. You could even end with a single important action. All of these give a sense of ending without spelling everything out.
Here's a perfect and pretty gut-wrenching example of ending on dialogue. The context is a young woman who just went through a horrific assault. Her friend, who has no idea what happened, finds her and asks this question. Did you have fun? Oof. The power is in what's not said. Adding a single word after that would just ruin it.
So if you take one thing away from all this, let it be this. You're not just reporting facts. You are crafting an experience. It's about using your voice, your scenes, and your insight to turn something that happened into a story that someone else will never forget.
So, you've got the tools now. You have the ingredients. The only question left is, what true story will you tell? What's the story that only you can bring to life?